All
Hello,
right.
guys.
Hi
Nice.
guys.
How's it,
Yeah.
everybody? Welcome back to the Tesla Community Channel. This is episode
Welcome.
11, and Julian and I have got Don with us tonight, and we're going to talk some more Tesla stuff, specifically around Investor Day. So,
Nice.
How you been, guys?
Great.
Great.
Yeah. Really pumped
Great.
about Investor Day, especially for us here in Germany. It was so late at night, and I thought maybe it's an event of one hour or two, but then it took like 3.5 hours, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
But it
same
was
here in
Could
the
amazing.
UK. Yeah, it was like,
did you watch all at once or Julian?
Yeah, but
Probably
the
not.
next day I couldn't take it.
Exactly. Of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
same.
It took
I
me
hung
like
in
two
there for a
days.
couple of hours and then had to kind of call it and just sort of get a bit of sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
man, what a lot of
I had to
information they packed into it as well.
totally, yeah. I had to watch I think the first two sections I think twice or
Yeah,
even three times. Yeah.
yeah,
So many information and yeah, so much
yeah.
information.
It was funny to hear about sort of reactions in the mainstream and that, and various people talking about how some people would say, you really need to see it like several times over, and then some people kind of really
Yeah.
laughing about it, saying, "Well, are you crazy? You're going to watch the 4 hour long investor day," but actually, it is worth seeing several times over.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
it's
Yeah.
layered. It's layered.
Yeah.
You kind of you got to uncover all the information they packed into it. Hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, alone in all these analysts, they were saying, they didn't show the numbers or how do they get to these 20 million cars in 5 years or something. But then they actually showed not the numbers, but they showed how they go there, right? So and
Yeah,
with
like
all the tech stack, it's I think it's just the gem of information for people who really get this, right? Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
like half price. Sh- Shout out to Stephen Mark Ryan his subtle way of saying half price. So
yeah, exactly.
one of the clues that they were trying to convey on Investor Day. Yeah,
Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
imagine. I think these financial analysts, they are being paid by companies to do financial analysis,
that's true.
but
Yeah, yeah,
even they, if they need to sit through like 3.5 hours of Tesla talking about various stuff, and they need to take notes and they need to put it into bigger models. Uh,
yeah,
at the end of the day, they get paid to deliver on a certain um, quality of their service, but this is just one company out of many for them that they have to analyze. And I think everybody can understand that they might not be able to really put it into that broad of a context for this specific company with really ambitious goals. And that's why it's, I think, hard to grasp even for these professionals. And we as kind of the shareholders who are private shareholders or interested in the company, we do this voluntarily, and it's really interesting to us, just out of fun, right? We're dedicating our free time to do this and watching it multiple times,
mm,
and watching other people talk about it and maybe explain some stuff that we don't really understand. And that's what I think is really valuable on the private shareholder side.
it's true. I totally agree. I mean, we've got the luxury of talking about whatever we want to talk about, really, and we don't have, so we're not answerable to line manager of sorts in terms of having to making sure that we deliver exactly the right information or the information we're told to deliver, kind of thing. So, yeah, I agree.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I think as we just started talking about Investor Day, we can go to the other topics we discussed beforehand later on. So yeah, I pointed out that Jordan Gisicki, who's going by the name The Limiting Factor on YouTube, and Twitter and so on. He's putting out amazing content, especially with regards to battery manufacturing and battery chemistry. He's really deep into it, and it's always so impressive. Like when he's talking about it, you need to watch the video at half the speed, otherwise your brain might explode. But it's really enjoyable and so well made. And he put out some videos already about Investor Day, and what really struck me was there's his idea about what they actually talked about, which can be put into 3 different levels, and also later on into 3 different themes. So he said for the Investor Day, the first level is like the macro level, what it takes to transition Earth to sustainable energy. This is not about Tesla, but about the whole Earth, and especially he's comparing it to how much it would cost to keep running on fossil fuels and gas and so on. And then he teased this white paper that Tesla still wants to put out about their estimations, what it actually would cost to transition the world to the sustainable energy. And eventually it showed that transitioning in the next 20 years would cost like 30% less than just staying that way. So it's like on the cost side, it's a no-brainer. So this is like the macro level. Then you have the micro level, where this is the majority of the presentation, where they talk about all the different things happening at Tesla, all the innovation and so on that is being there. And this is where actually Elon stepped back and wasn't even on the stage, but he let his employees do the show, because they are, of course, the majority of the company doing all this stuff, and he's like going crazy with all different sorts of stuff. So that was like the micro level, and then you have the company level, which is kind of combining this macro level of what it would take the Earth to transition to sustainable energy, and what Tesla can do, and showing what the company as such is capable of here. And I think that's a very interesting way to divide it.
And it makes sense if you start thinking about the macro scale, and that it's sort of it's a planetary scale endeavor. Ultimately, it's almost like what good would it be if you had one company making electric vehicles in a sea of companies still making ICE vehicles? So they have to think of it on a planetary scale. They have to address that, and it's understandable that and that they've said it so many times as well themselves, that they can't do it alone, but that they're doing the math behind what it would take for us to successfully transition the world. You have to think about it, and then it sort of makes more sense that, okay, that's why they're not just talking about, this is our company and this is us, invest in us. No, invest in Earth, invest in the future, and think planetary in terms of think of that at that scale. Otherwise, it's just kind of it's not really going to have the impact that's required.
Yeah, I think also some years ago it was all about like Tesla, just a small startup making EVs and promising the sustainable transition, all these things, and no one saw any overview of the whole vision. But in this Investor Day, you could just see in one slide, right? You could just Tesla presented that it's possible, but in one slide, and it was like the whole vision is now closed. It's a closed graph now, so it's reachable now. Just you have even the numbers and this is all coming from Tesla. It's so as you see like how big it all has become. As also as not only as this promise, but just also as a product. You see Tesla everywhere now, and also the energy business, and everything is growing, and these are now already huge companies, on their own. It's great feeling as a investor and I have no idea all the technicalities of it on the energy side, and I also have less time to read up on this. But yeah, I mean, you read on Twitter all this information, and all these dots will get connected in your head, and then you get to watch this investor day, and all this information, one day it just makes a click, and then
Mm.
yeah, it's and then all these like simple not simple, but I mean like retail investors like us, we actually have totally another full-time job, all these things, but they get even to understand the whole
Mm. Mm.
mission and the vision, and I think this is the point, so all these huge companies, they have these huge visions, um, and the missions are not understandable to retail
Mm.
investors because it's too detailed or too
Mm.
technical or not open enough.
Mm.
But in Tesla, you have this, and Elon comes out and talks like simple person and just in simple words, and everyone gets this. This is the best part, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like open.
exactly. It's
Y-
open. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Point taken, Don. Yeah, yeah, guys.
So I wanted to add that I think Don, what you said about you're connecting the dots. This is very true because there's so much how do you say it, like partialized information coming out, which
Yeah,
is like a part of the breadcrumb,
yeah,
and then you find all these breadcrumbs, and then you eventually get like to the real cake,
yeah.
and yeah, it's all set in motion now, and you're seeing more and more this whole vision of Elon coming together, and actually, I have the feeling that especially now, there's like no way back anymore because they're
yeah,
plowing forward relentlessly without
yeah.
stopping. They are really showing that they're executing like mad, and they have been for the last 10 years or even longer than that.
Mm.
So it's really, they're kind of unstoppable. And just yesterday, I think there were, for example, in China, there was a memo coming out by some lobby agency that is kind of representing all the major Chinese car brands, but there are also lots of for example, German car brands in it, and they were pleading kind of to do something, have the state do something about it. They were also appealing to the media to do something about these disastrous prices that are now coming to fruition, and
Challenging the market.
showing that they cannot possibly compete while Tesla is doing
Mm,
still doing like dream profits on the
Mm.
lowered
Mm.
prices, and this will only
mm,
increase in the future. And this
Mm.
shows how much they're innovating, and how really their the vision is coming true to make
Mm.
EVs accessible, and drive the costs down, thus
Yeah,
make it more accessible to more and more people, and not only people who can pay and afford like a
yeah.
40,000 or 50,000 euro of dollar car.
Yeah, exactly. And like you guys are saying, I totally agree. You have to join the dots. You have to apply your common sense. You have to absorb this information that has been made so freely available, and you really have to think about it so that you begin to understand, why are their prices going down now? It's not because they're in
mm,
trouble, the way that sort of the mainstream would try to spin a narrative that is sort of so common or so typical to what seems to be so typical to traditional ways of growing a company. And they really don't really have a sort of a mainstream um, textbook thesis on a company like Tesla. It's just such a different approach. So, but
yeah,
once you start absorbing that information, you start really thinking about it, and sort of giving the whole potential the time of day, so to speak. Uh, you begin to see things. You begin to see how well the whole situation is being orchestrated, and even when huge scary headlines come out about trying to sort of say terrible things about Tesla, you kind of see through that. and you kind of begin to understand, okay, that's just sort of a mainstream reaction, which is very typical in the way that news is delivered, in that kind of negative, kind of hyped up kind of way. um, but you can always take it back to the information that you continually absorb in your own time about Tesla, and you can weigh it up, and you can decide for yourself. The whole crowd can be sort of running for the hills, but you can think for yourself on the matter, and yeah, use your common sense, join the dots, and don't take anybody's word for it. See for yourself. Think about it for
Exactly.
yourself.
Yeah. And I think one of the best ways is also, a lot of friends of mine, they ask me, they they invest in other car makers, like Volkswagen and all these things, and then um, um, or other companies, and then and they ask, is it the right time now to invest in Tesla? And all these questions, they come to you, and then you try to explain these things to them, and then but this time you're not explaining something, but you're explaining what you really have in your soul, in your heart, what you really feel because you're invested in Tesla. And
Mm.
it's also not only about the money you invested, but also it's also about Elon, about all this fear. There's something else which is something else. And there's something else in your heart for
It's
Tesla. It's
true.
just this. It's not the money you invested, but it's also it's something that I mean, personally, I have to somehow protect it. Someone attacks Tesla, and I say, "Okay, wait, I will explain to you. Let me explain this to
Yeah,
you."
yeah.
You try to protect because it's not true what they say. So, but all these attempts to explain these small things to some people, and these things will also connect the dots in your head. One
Mm.
day you explain, for example, to your one friend, look, you explain just the start. To another friend, you explain the next generation car and all these things. And one day, these dots will connect in your head, and then suddenly you understand more things. This is this
Yeah.
is what happened to me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and you almost get to a point where you realize, well, you can't actually advise anybody on on
yeah,
on
exactly.
their own investment decisions, at least
Yeah.
from one small aspect of it. In fact, you'd be doing people a disfavor, rather to encourage them to really think about it for themselves and see the bigger picture here, which is not just about investing and making money. It's about uh, yeah, investing in Earth, and if
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
find an opportunity to participate in making the world a better place, then
Right.
companies like Tesla just stand out in your mind. They make sense, and they ignite your own enthusiasm. The more you think about it, the more you absorb information about it, the more exciting the prospect, and the more you want to participate. It's almost like
Yes.
and this is where I've got such a lot of respect for Elon, in having,
Mm.
from such an early time, just invested everything. You kind of, as
All
you
in.
absorb this information, yeah, you just look at a person like Elon, and you think, yeah, wow, there was a point in time where you were sitting on several $1 million, and you could have just sort of left the scene and gone and lived it up, but the conviction was so strong that he just reinvested and reinvested and reinvested everything. Didn't hold anything back, and that enthusiasm, and that, but realism as well, is potentially contagious. If you start to get
Absolutely.
it, then, like you say, a lot of big corporates maybe sprinkle a few breadcrumbs and lead you on red herrings and things. They don't kind of display the whole master plan for you to understand. But now Tesla is doing
Mm.
that. They're literally laying it all out in front of you, in the kind of, in the simplest kind of way for you to understand. Obviously, they're going to plenty of detail and plenty of technical detail. And yeah, of course, they've got various audiences. At times, they're doing a recruiting uh, 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 um, stint, and then so they'll talk about a lot of stuff into great detail, and it'll fly over everybody's heads. But the general approach is this information is open and it is free for you to observe and digest in your own time, and then you can
Yeah,
actually get kind of, you can get you can change your outlook. It wasn't that long ago.
absolutely. Yeah.
It wasn't long ago. I know that in my own experience, I've had many times when I've wondered what kind of a future lies ahead of the next generation. You know,
Yeah.
are we really doomed to forced to continue using fossil fuels and doing things that are basically wrecking the planet? Is there really no alternative? It's only when you start finding potential solutions, potential alternatives that in your mind and in your common sense say, yeah, that actually could actually work, that you can actually be genuine. Like you say, Don, it's in your heart. It's something you can be
Yes.
genuinely enthusiastic about.
Mhm.
And
That's also why Claude
Yeah, I
and I
mean,
do this channel, right?
yeah,
yeah, that's
exactly.
exactly it. That's why we
Mhm.
wanted to jump in here and just say, look, we want to just promote the conversation in any way we can and just
Yeah,
invite
but
everybody in.
yeah, imagine you're doing this, let's say for BMW. Would you do this? No, right? This is you have just absolutely no feeling for the company, right? And I
Yeah.
think it's also more about, I remember when I read this book Lift Off, about the SpaceX, early
Yeah,
days. Um, um, this guy who, I think saved the third attempt. I think, in a plane. I forgot the part. They were flying too high or somehow, and then the part started getting cramped somehow, and then the guy realized this, and someone had to go into that part and do something so that, so that the air comes in or something, so that it doesn't break. Um, um, and that guy did this, and even though his life was in danger, so um, it was like it was like a huge family trying to rescue each other, and later on, then they started landing, I think, and then all the other guys around him were so thankful, and then they were started crying. This is, I didn't remember the exact lines, but if you read this book, in the book of Ashley Vance and all these things, the whole life of not only Elon but the people who he gathered
mm,
around him, and how obsessed and addicted they were to the mission. It's and this is I think the point why all these retail investors around Tesla stock and SpaceX, all these things, um, they are different. They are not like retail investor of BMW or something else. These people are different because these people feel this true spirit of these, the Tesla team and all these teams, Elon has built. I think this is also the bond that keeps us all kind of together, in this context. And I really love this. Just go to Twitter and then, browse all these things and all these fun memes, and it's
Yeah.
just a huge, hub of
yeah,
extremely smart people. Yeah, it's so cool.
yeah,
That's true.
exactly.
Yeah,
You
and
just
coming back to Investor Day, this is
Yeah,
one of the themes that Jordan Giesecke, for example, talked about when he said, there's hope. He wants to, the Investor Day should convey hope that we have the technology for an abundant and sustainable energy future. Like
mm,
it's not
exactly.
something that is
yeah,
out of reach or that is kind of absolutely in the clouds, but it is possible, especially given that that's the second theme. There's enough pace of innovation going on, which is
mm,
driving the costs down. I
mm,
mean, you could have the most amazing technology ever, but if it's like $10 billion for one unit of it, nearly nobody's going to buy it, right?
yeah,
So it doesn't really
Mhm.
make sense. So you need to drive the cost down and need to speed it up to pump out more and then drive the cost even further down due to economies of scale. And that's kind of two of these big themes where I think that's really making people also understand with their heart the kind of lofty technical explanations and so on. But with this idea, you really get it and really appeal to the people. As you said, Don, you wouldn't do this to BMW because they are not doing this. And Elon actually said during Investor Day that he wants to show that there's optimism not only for the Tesla shareholders but for all shareholders of Earth. Like, we are borrowing the Earth from our children, from the future generation, and we're just custodians and need to take care of it. And if there's a vision, and now Tesla, especially with Master Plan Part 3, it really shows that it is possible and how much you need it. It is a monstrous task, and there's no denying that. But of course, if you have enough people and supporting it, it is possible to do this to the whole Earth. It's like a civilizational endeavor. It's not something that's just about a group of people wanting to pump out amazing products. It's really
and you're breaking in an old paradigm that was of the paradigm of sort of there isn't enough. I personally don't feel I have to think that far back to remember what it felt like to think, wow, resources are scarce and the planet is overpopulated. It's a very, very strong paradigm that sits in your mind, in your subconscious, and you really have to kind of bring it to the surface to realize that, hang on, maybe it's challengeable. Maybe it's not exactly like that. Maybe abundance isn't actually such a pipe dream. But maybe it's actually possible. When you start thinking about things like about AI, autonomy, robotics, what an economy is, a labor force, just like you said just now, Don, you join those dots.
Yeah.
Okay, so one additional theme that John Giesecke talked about, which is of course something that you want to hear at an investor day, is the profits, right? So they are not only selling great products, but they are selling them at high margins, and this is really what counts when you're making products. You don't want to have like a 1% margin, which
or
is
minus,
or even a minus.
Yeah,
right?
both have margin minus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and especially with I think we talked about it before we went live, with the energy business as well coming online. For example, there's Good Soil Investment Management with Emmett Peppers and Matt.
Yeah, nice one.
So these guys are often, especially Matt, he has some background in the energy part of the US, like an energy company or something, or he was working with utilities or something. I can't really recall right now, but he's inviting people who are still active in that sector, and they could shine a good light on it, how Tesla, especially with their prices that you can just look up on their website for their mega packs, where they're storing energy in times of, if they have like a peak energy, and then they have kind of a backup energy plan, and how they're doing like record profits with this kind of already, and just extrapolating it out into the future, it's getting more and more. And especially here in Europe, I think this is amazing as well. You can see more and more of these sites popping up where Tesla is deploying some of these mega packs to actually store the energy. And one was in the UK, one is in the Netherlands now, like recently announced. And it's just casually on the side, but you can already see it's happening more and more. And yeah, it's really interesting to see.
It is, hey? And in there as well, another paradigm about energy, about can you store so much energy that you can fuel a city, for several days. Just doesn't seem to make sense when you think about it in the sort of the older ways of thinking about things. Sort of the 20th century mindset. It doesn't really comprehend that as a potential. All those batteries, what? But
Mm.
yeah, when you watch that very low key rollout of stationary storage around the globe, it's another dot you're joining, basically.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in what happens in the long run, if um, you have enough sun, yeah, right? So you don't have to build it; it's already built. So what happens if you also have enough storage, one day, and then potentially energy is for free. I mean,
Yeah,
then you just have to have the car. You can just drive it just for free,
yeah,
and yeah, I mean, this is the direction, right? So this is
yeah,
this is the future, and now you can look at all these ice cars, and I mean, this is probably the next topic, but I had to
sure.
lease, or yeah, I had to drive this BYD for 1.5 weeks. Yeah, and you see the difference. It's like um, it's ice car. I mean, it's ice car and a lot worse. This is how you can imagine, right? So even I tried one other ice car for a very short time,
Hmm.
um, and they are stable. This is because they have a lot of years of experience, and uh, and and this BYD. I mean, it's not about making this product bad, but it's really bad. So you have to it's not stable car, and software is worse, and
Hmm.
so I just what I want to say is, in the long run, it's all about the product that that will become part of your life.
Hmm.
Something like
Hmm.
iPhone or something like this.
Yeah, yeah,
That will be the point. It's not about the battery size, all these things. This will be scaled. Yeah, this will be
yeah,
no issue one day. It's all
yeah.
about the best product. Yeah.
That reminds me of this this I'm still waiting for a delivery date to come through for a Model X order, which I placed like last year
Yeah.
May, right? So I'm like, yo, come on,
Oh
guys.
wow.
We're
Yeah.
Wow.
approaching the 12-month mark,
Maybe
and
two more weeks. Yeah.
just 2 weeks.
Oh my
Elon,
god.
please.
Just
I
2 weeks.
want to
Yeah.
I want to join
Don't
I want to
say it.
join my friends here in driving amazing vehicles. In the
Yeah.
meantime, we've got a leased Touran, right? A VW Touran,
Mhm.
and it's 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 actually the first time I'm personally experiencing a slightly more advanced I don't know if you can call it driver assist type cruise control, right?
Okay, cruise control. Yeah.
I've always enjoyed cruise control, even the old one where you had to kind of click up and down to change your speed because you had to monitor your speed yourself. Now the next thing on the Touran, because there's a Touran that came out this year, so it's kind of like the latest
Mm.
the latest model Touran, and I've got this comparison going on in my mind, right? I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to take this Touran's cruise control and I'm going to push it for all it's worth, and I'm going to start seeing how does it respond, how is it using whatever it's lidar or whatever system it's using to track the vehicle in front of it so that it can match and keep a following distance essentially. And I'm noticing so many things about it, even though I haven't even driven a Tesla yet. I've
Mm.
even despite that, I can feel the um, the clunkiness of the tech. It's like there's so many instances where uh, I'm trying to nurse this vehicle to just be mindful that there is a car in front of us, right? And follow that car and keep your distance with that car. And if that car stops at a red light, you slow down and stop behind that car. And it's even that in itself is a little nerve wracking in it's because I haven't experienced this sort of that level of autonomy, or
Mm.
and that is a far cry from Tesla. So I've got this funny comparison going on. Just one incident that happened was, um, it happens often, right? I'm trying to sort of follow the car in front of me. So the Touran is keeping its distance to that vehicle, but if another vehicle sort of turns into that space in front of me, the Touran almost wants to just ram them out the way. So I have to intervene. You have to intervene, a lot,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, and I just keep thinking about, I wouldn't have this problem if I was sitting in a Tesla right now. You know what I mean? It's like, but while I'm waiting, right? While I'm waiting, fingers crossed, I'm actually getting an opportunity to have this really interesting comparison with. You can actually feel by just trying to use that tech, you can actually feel how various legacy automotive companies are trying to catch up with something that they don't understand, if essentially, and it's like, it's just funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Claude, one question here. Do you already rent a Tesla just to
yeah, I think at some point I probably will. I just haven't had the time. I've
got
just
it? Okay.
because we've had this sort of leased vehicle through the the Motability plan, which is like a plan that's is like an assistance type plan for families with special needs. Like my son, my one son who's autistic. So we use the Motability plan to get a lease vehicle, which is what we've done in the past, right? And we're still doing that now while waiting for an order to come through. And yeah, I think if we pass May, I'll just have to start leasing a Tesla.
You can also test drive, like order a test drive with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
On Canary Wharf, there's a Tesla store. You can go there. I've been there a few years ago, and you can just at least sit in a Model X there. It's a white on white. It was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. But it struck me a few weeks ago that, you know what, let's test this out. Let's see what is the tech that's trying to kind of move in that direction. How far is it actually? How's the touch screen on a Touran? What are its capabilities? What are its limitations? And I think, it wasn't that long ago, you just kept seeing headlines coming out about everything that's wrong with Tesla, right? And you think, well, where's the headline that says if you're sitting in a Touran and it's following a vehicle in front of you and another vehicle turns in front of you to take the space, well, watch out. That's the dangerous thing could happen. You could ram the vehicle. You know what I mean? And that's not a headline. That's. But yeah, it's just a curious comparison, really. At this stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like BlackBerry trying to install or trying to build some feature of iOS into BlackBerry and testing it inside BlackBerry.
Yeah, mimicking.
Mimicking this is very bad.
But maybe Don, you can tell us about your experience with your Model X, because you posted about it on Twitter that recently it got into the workshop and there was something that needed to be repaired. So how was that experience? I think it's because what I'm alluding to is that you weren't that satisfied with the service, or there are some problems. Exactly. So we don't want to sugarcoat everything, right? So put the thumb into the wound.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. I mean every company has issues. That's the fact. Exactly. So from the story starts with my Model X is now over 4 years old, and it started having this. It's called, I think, traction stability control or something. I had these warnings for a couple of weeks, and then I called service, and they said, okay, you can just bring the car here, and I brought the car. And usually, if you bring your Tesla to Tesla Service Center, it just takes like 1 or 2 hours, and then you get the notification your Tesla is ready to pick up. You just pick up your car. It's just this has been the experience so far, and then but with Model X, I had to wait one day, and then I had my phone already always open the Tesla app. You can see the status of the of the service, and I had this open for one day and for 2 days, and then nothing happened, and then I messaged them. I said, so what happened? They said, yeah, they couldn't reproduce the issue. And then I wondered, and they asked me for the timestamps of the occurrence of these issues, and I sent all the images. And I also said that you guys can just drive around my car until the error happens, and then just stop there and try to debug, right? So this, but then it took somehow 1 week, and it's still there. But so the story goes like they said it's fixed. Then I picked up, and then I drove for 2 days, and the error came up again, and then I brought it again back to the service center, and it's still there. But recently we know the reason for the issue. It's how's it called in English? So in the wheel electronics, yeah, exactly. In the wheel electronics, certain parts were too close to the body or something, and then so every time you turn the wheel, it it
Sort of
yeah so
interfering.
yeah you had this friction all the time, so and then so now they are replacing this, but of course I had to pay all these sessions that were sort of in vain, because we thought the car was fixed, but then it was not fixed, but then so I had to bring it back again, and then so I was with iCar for half week, and then with this BYD for 1.5 week, and I said, this is not the life I was born to live. I have to drive. I have to drive Tesla. I have to tell you, if you have driven Tesla for 4 years, and if it is Model X, then you cannot go back. This is very hard. It's true. So you cannot just take a BYD and drive it. It hurts even to all these. Look, this BYD was new. It was brand new. As got this from rental, it had 1,200 kilometers. It was just brand new car.
Wow.
And I start the car, and in the display, you see all the sensors are not working. All these tire pressure sensors, there were no signal. Everywhere you see no signal.
Wow.
And it's like broken Android, or Android without internet, you can call it. So this is so bad. And I thought, and all this acceleration, you have no feeling. You have, if you brake, you have no feeling. Like when the car stops, you don't have feeling. You have no, touch points. You have to. Either you brake too slow or too fast. You don't have every time. I even after 1 week, I could not even brake on time. It was always like weird. And same with acceleration. So yeah.
Now, isn't it interesting though? Isn't it like it's almost like a bit of a blessing in disguise that you had to go through that kind of experience? I mean, if your Tesla just stayed plain sailing, you wouldn't have that comparative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
As painful as it is.
Yeah, this is. I tweeted once. It truly hurts if you wake up in the morning and think that you have to drive BYD, and even if you have a Tesla. So, I mean, it's of course it's service center, but and you can compare truly all the not only the technical things, also all your feelings. So how you wake up when you have Tesla, and how do you wake up when you have BYD? So the difference in your emotions is extremely high, but overall, it's not surprising that they are shutting down factories, and it's a car that's built, like by people who don't really have soul in the product. They just build something that can drive somehow,
It's like they're
and
not
they're trying to
personally
sell
invested
this.
in it.
Exactly. And then in the last in the last recently, then I thought, okay, so probably my Model X will stay in the service center for a long time. And I also don't want to pick up too early. I just want to make sure this time that it's fixed properly. Then I just ordered Model Y, and fortunately it was ready to pick up in Dortmund here in Germany, and then I picked up, and then from Model X 2018 and this new Model Y, the difference is also big, extremely big, I have to say.
Really?
And
Tell us about it.
yeah, it's big. It's big. Yeah.
Mm.
So Model X it's a huge car, and it also has accordingly issues. It's a Tesla from 4 years ago,
Mm.
and I think I was the one of the first ones in Munich who bought Model X 2018. I think I saw my X, and there was another one only in the city.
Mm.
But it was of course, fresh car with a lot of issues. And I also knew this. I was conscious about this thing. It was surprising actually that I had 4 years without bug. You know, but yeah, I mean, this time Model Y, this is amazing. You have everything. You have everything in this car, and I forgot. I sold my Model Y, I think 2 years ago or 1 year ago. But I had this cockpit again, but this time totally different software. And so fast, and the graphics and everything. Yeah, you cannot even explain all these acceleration,
Mm.
fast connection with your smartphone. You go to the car, it's open. You go away, it's closed. And all these small details don't work in other cars. You have to close again, but the connection is broken. You have to
Mm-hmm.
go to back the car and then
Mm-hmm.
connect again and then close the
Mm-hmm.
car, and all these small things.
On
And
this
if this happens
Touran,
like 5 times,
on this Touran,
yeah.
every 2 weeks you have to restart your iPhone. You have to kind
Oh,
of
really?
you have to
Okay.
cold boot it, otherwise it has trouble
Okay.
connecting. But sorry, you were saying
Maybe
something.
you're. Yeah, no worries. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Probably it was probably spamming your memory probably in your, your phone. Um,
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, and I watched this Investor Day, and I saw this car under blanket, this next gen car, and I said, if this is revealed, I will order right away, on the same day. It will be like 75% more efficient, and overall cost will be um, uh, $1,000 less or something.
Mhm,
I think
mhm.
I'm not sure what kind of cost it was, but um, you can imagine from all these learnings, issues from Model X, issues from Model
Mm,
Y, issues from
mm.
Model 3, all these
And
things get fixed.
the feedback
Yeah,
loop, the application, and the
and the feedback loop,
innovation
right,
flywheel.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
right, right, and you have this in the new car, and it's expensive. Sorry, it is cheaper and better than combined all these three versions, and all the bugs are fixed, and then
Mm.
it's in a new car with more efficient hardware and software. And how far can this get? This
Yeah.
is dream, right? This is dream for a lot of people.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And
Yeah.
yours is made in Germany as well, right? Your Model Y.
Yeah. I think I got to know this from your tweet, Julian.
Yeah,
I think.
you can look it up via
Okay.
the serial number, and the first few letters
Right.
tell where it is from
Yeah.
if you know what the code stands for. And
Yes.
I'm really curious because usually the made in Germany is like traditionally like seen as a huge quality sign. But of course, the first iterations of the Model Y still had these panel gaps and so on. Especially when the first ones were delivered, there were some people showing on YouTube what it's like to have these new products from the Tesla Gigafactory near Berlin. But most of the time it looked great, but of course you could still see some flaws and some. And
Mm.
what is your car like in terms of quality? Like especially these naggy things that
Cosmetics.
people
Yeah.
nag about all the time. But me personally, I don't care at all about this stuff. But in the perception of the
Mm.
majority of people who are not interested in the overall mission of Tesla, but only in the car itself, what it's like for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Maybe a small story. One of my friends also ordered, I think, a year ago, a Model 3. Um, and in the delivery, he checked every inch of the car, and just to make sure. Of course, you have to. But it was his first Tesla, and so he had to check. But to be honest, as Julian, as you said, I also never checked. If I also didn't check my Model X. Also, I didn't check Model Y this time.
Hmm.
Um, but the pickup is delivery was also funny. The guy just came to me and I said, "You can just now add the car in your phone to your, you have the other car. You can just add. It was just one tap. We added the car, and I said, "Okay, good luck with your car." And I said, "Okay, where's my car?
Amazing,
It's outside."
amazing.
Yeah, I just went to the car, and then I took the car, and I just sat in the car, gave the address, and drove away. And at home, I checked nothing. There's nothing. There's no panel gaps. It is. I couldn't find anything. It's absolutely. I even made pictures from site, so you can compare all these lines.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing. It's just perfect. It's
Mm.
absolutely perfect. All the doors, how you close it. It was in the 2019 Model 3. It was a little bit weird. If you close the door, it was a little bit loud. Um, but this time it's absolutely perfect. It's even better than Model X. You can just close and it just closes very gently. And I also feel that the windows are thicker than the last one. It's like a double how's it called, double layer somehow, and a little bit, and you have almost zero noise from outside. You have some noise, of course. It depends on the road, but if you compare it to BYD, BYD is like you are driving a car with all the windows open. Just you hear everything. So yeah, in the Model Y,
Yeah.
it is completely perfect.
Yeah.
So
And could
yeah.
you
We also
feel?
got.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Shout out to Brad. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi,
Hi,
Brad.
Brad. Yeah.
Nice seeing you. He
I
also
read.
says my first car was made in Germany, 1984 Mercedes-Benz 380 SE. Car was an absolute tank. Hergestellt in Deutschland. Yeah. So speaking to the quality and the other post is I've seen people post the delivery checklist for the people that want to check every known quality issue at delivery. I
Right. There's
understand
this
why
one.
people do
Right.
it. Yes, and also much drive
Yeah.
delivery
Mm,
agents
mhm.
drives them crazy. Yes, I understand it's too. And when I was taking delivery, I had this list as well, but I was going through it as fast as possible and just checking for the main parts. And
Mhm.
like which would really be like an issue for having like a afterwards
Yeah.
taking care of that.
And the question of
Mm.
on the question of cars pre gigacasting and post gigacasting. I mean, I should imagine you probably almost feel the difference. I mean, is that part of why you're seeing such a kind of flawless situation now as opposed to say a few years ago?
Probably, yeah. Probably. I mean, Yeah, so I mean, when the car is ready, it's probably hard to detect the difference from the casting, I think.
Mm.
But yeah, so all these one of my friends in Munich, he also ordered 2 years ago Model 3. He said there's these little things like if in winter, if you drive, you have these windows get how is it called, Julian? If you
Foggy?
yeah, foggy, exactly. The windows get foggy, and if you turn on the AC, then the corners of the windows still foggy. You know, these things, small things. Um, and and I don't see these in my car now. And he also confirmed that one of his friend ordered new Model Y, and he also said no issues, but all these things are fixed. Now you see how Tesla fixes these things so fast. You know, in like BMW or other cars, they take over 100 years, and then of course they can fix these things in a long time. But
In
now,
100 years, yeah.
um, 100 years, you know, fixing foggy things
Literally.
not so
That's a bit
difficult.
of a tight
Yeah,
timeline there.
yeah, exactly. But and now Tesla, you know, um, it also one bigger issue was I think in the um, with the auto wiping in the highway if you are driving over 80 km/h,
Mm.
kilometer per hour,
Yeah.
then if you make auto wipe or if you with the fluid, then it wipes twice only, and the third one doesn't come up if you are faster than 80 kilometers per hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is also fixed. I realized this, you know, but my X doesn't have it. X still has issues. And then because the third one has almost no fluid because you're fast on the window, and it leaves these traces again. So we have to theoretically we have to all the time or make slower and then clean and then accelerate again.
Right.
These all these things are fixed, and
Mm.
it's amazing to see how little things are getting fixed. Yeah,
How quickly
Yeah,
they're addressed. Yeah. Nice one.
yeah,
really cool. So yeah, we are nearly at 1 hour. We wanted to wrap it up at 1 hour and respect everybody's time. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was really an interesting conversation. First, the first part about Investor Day, showing how the broad implications, really paint a picture of hope for the future, and making it not only hopeful but achievable, right?
Mm.
So it's
Mm.
actually realistic,
yeah,
given that the pace of innovation doesn't slow down,
Mm.
and we are doing everything we can to support. And here we get another guest,
Yeah,
Tesla
Alexandra,
Green Mama.
hi.
Yeah,
I,
she was on our first episode as well, right? With you, Don.
Yeah.
You're like the
yeah,
founding members, I think you called it. So
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really great to see that people are around here. And thank you, Don, for sharing your experience with the Model X and the repair shop, especially since it's not a pleasant experience. Or we need to call that out as well, and not sugarcoat everything, as I said before.
sure,
But yeah,
yeah,
glad to see that your Model Ys you're living up to a much higher standard.
Yeah. Hey, and like you're saying
thank
about
you.
Investor Day, it was just such a lot of information to try and unpack that. And I know there's we know there are loads of brilliant channels out there that go into incredible detail over many series of shows dedicated just to something like Investor Day. Uh, Appreciate that. Like Julian and I, we're family guys, and we're busy, and we each have our situations to deal with, and we spend as much time as we can coming to jump in these conversations. I think we'd love to dive into this more and more if we get there, as we find an opportunity. We're just looking at our list of things that we want to try and talk about. Um, I suppose the main thing right now is for us to kind of just keep finding a rhythm, and just jump in with you guys, really.
Yeah, and especially everybody watching, you can just contact us via Twitter. Write us a message if you have like a certain topic that you want to talk about. We can do it. We're open to it. We have ideas of our own, of course, as well.
Yeah.
But this is the community channel, so the ideas can also come from the Tesla community. and that's why we think this is a interesting approach to the channel overall. Brad is
Yeah,
asking when
and
Patreon.
Patreon.
Maybe.
Yeah, very good question, Brad. I think up until now, it's really been a thing we've just felt like we just want to kind of get out of our shells and just come and jump in and just join in the conversation in the best way we know how. And I don't know,
Yeah, we cracked.
monetization and all of that is a whole other thing, really. In our
Yeah,
case,
we cracked like 200 subscribers
yeah,
recently, and then
yeah, 200. We've cracked 200
maybe
so far.
if we have like another 300 or something, or 1,000, I don't know when it works. So.
And cheers for that, Brad. So appreciate your encouragement for us, and really, like Julian is saying, it's a community channel. We talk about Tesla, we talk about related subjects, and everyone. I know we've probably said this several times before, but everybody's opinion matters. And I suppose that's another paradigm just worth breaking. Because so often we all think, oh no, well, all of this stuff's been covered by someone who's much smarter than me. No, nonsense. Everybody's opinion actually has an impact on the world around them, and that's another way that we can all actually just get involved and promote a good future. So like Julian's saying, thanks everybody for any time that you spend on our content, and we look forward to doing the best we can for everybody's benefit, frankly.
Yeah, and Don, thank you for your elaborations, especially since you once stated that you're usually quite shy and introverted, but this time you did the majority of the talking, right? And it's really amazing to see this.
Oh yeah, that's weird. Yeah, but thanks for having me. This was always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Likewise,
Yeah.
always a pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you guys.
Thank you.
Well, everybody have a great evening.